What is up, Squared Nation? Welcome back to the Four Corners, the official podcast of No Counters, No Combos. I do apologize for not having anything for you guys last week, but I went to great lengths to get you a very special guest for us this week, and we're just kind of continuing into like the custom creation block that we're doing here on the podcast. So without further ado, I want to introduce our guest that we have today, Mr. John Alonzo. What's up, man? How are you? How's everything going?
So far, everything's doing fantastic. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm like I believe I've told you this before, but the fans haven't heard this. So I'm a really, really big fan of no counters, no combos. So I'm actually a little nervous right now being
Um,
on your podcast.
Oh, you're making me
A
blush,
little
man.
bit
No,
of
no
funny
need to be
stress.
nervous, man. You're amongst friends. We're all good. We're all good. But I thank you for coming on, and I really appreciate it. So we're just gonna kind of get right into it. I do have a couple of questions for you. I know that you've been in the Dragon Ball Super community for a very long time, and I wanted to just kind of shed some light on exactly what it is that you do. Obviously, if you've been living under a rock and you don't know what he does, you're the owner or like the founder of the Trifinity Customs page, right?
Yes, sir.
So
I am the founder and designer.
perfect, perfect. So just walk me through like what made you get started with that custom designing that you do for the community.
Uh, this is actually a sort of lengthy response, but just bear with me.
Go ahead, man.
I used to wrestle. I used to want to be a professional wrestler, like on TV, WWE
Nice.
kind of wrestling. Yeah, so I actually pay attention to a lot of Scott Dashy when the
Yes.
events are coming and he's gonna attend because he does some great promo work.
Yes. Of course, absolutely.
So I was in that genre of entertainment for a while, and since I was like a kid, I always wanted to be a wrestler because I used to see like the nameplates, the stages, the lights, and all of those things. And I guess it just didn't dawn on me that it wasn't wrestling that I wanted to be a part of. It was just wrestling that used all of the aspects that I wanted to take part in. Um, so fast forward a ton of years, um, when I did find that graphics, video editing, audio editing was where my heart was, I just completely abandoned the ring and character creation and stuff. I've always been a creative person, but doing the logos for shows and the graphics for different wrestling um, logos for their outfits, outfit designs, things of that nature. It just always appealed to me, and I just kept on going further and further. Um, but there was a hiatus that I took for a few years, and I just needed to get my head on straight. And one of the things that's always calmed me down is being a nerd, we will say, and just playing video games, card games, anything that would just relax drawing because I used to make tribal art tattoo designs, and it was just stuff that it was all hobby stuff, like building Gundams and stuff. That's all stuff I love to do on my off, if ever I have any now.
Right.
But at that time, I was playing Yu-Gi-Oh a lot, and uh, something that I never liked doing was like playing whatever the meta decks were,
Mm-hmm.
and I always liked to play rogue stuff because it shows off your skill when
Sure.
you can beat somebody who is playing meta.
Sure.
So I was really happy about that, and I used to be really focused on locking people, anything that locked down a deck, and so was my friend and two of the guys that he used to, and all of them wanted to fashion their own lock decks and try to beat me at mine. So we all used to play each other, trying to outlock each other, trying to lock each other down faster. And it was a ton of fun. And then we started doing it at my local, and then we started taking tournaments, and it wasn't even intentional. We were just going so we could have fun, and we started to lock people really, really hard, and we were taking tournaments. We were like placing top and stuff like that. So we figured we should definitely do a team. So we made a team. It was called Team Lockdown.
Nice.
I went on my computer. I opened up Photoshop for the first time in a long time. So it was like digitally dusting off the program.
Hmm.
And I made a logo. It was TLD, and that was that. I had like a lock that was like dangling off of the L,
Nice.
so that was pretty fun. But yeah, it was a hell of an experience, and so I figured if we're gonna be a team and we actually want to take this serious, we should do something that's like uniforms. I don't know where we can get uniforms from, but if anything, I can use my Photoshop skills. I'll make some mats for us,
Hmm.
and we could always just get that printed somewhere.
Right.
And that was that. I made my first four mats for myself and my team, and we got them printed. They arrived pretty well. I think we used eBay at the time.
Hmm.
Um, and when other people at local saw the mats that we had, they were like, "Where'd you get those from?" And when I told them that I made them, they were just like, "No, you didn't," And then they just didn't want to believe it at all. So they kept on asking my team, excuse me, my teammate, "Where did you get the mats from?" And they had to continuously tell them, "John made it." And so after a while, people wanted me to make them for them, and I wasn't interested in trying to make money or anything like that. I had a job, I had my regular life going on, and in my head, I still wanted to wrestle, so it was just something I was doing for fun. Then, because of how many people kept on asking for designs and kept on asking for upkeep, like, oh, when's the next time you're gonna make another mat? Can you make me one? um, I kind of got a little frustrated because of how many people were kind of demanding it as if I owed them.
Sure.
Um, and so that's what made me start to charge. So I was like charging whatever the eBay price is, and then like $5 to me. You
Hmm.
know, that
Hmm.
was that, and even that was still cheaper than a bunch of official companies
Right.
that were charging to make mats. And so it was all Google downloads at first,
Hmm.
and I was just whatever I could find on Google, I just slapped together on a mat, kind of just shut people up, um, and it never really sat well because I actually did have a lot of fun while I was making it.
Hmm.
So on top of the Google downloads that I was just slapping together, copying, um, I would actually have a little bit of fun, and I would create some content and draw some lines or make little effects to make things look like they were glowing, exploding, shooting, things of that nature.
Hmm.
And it really did become like it really was like a stress relief for me, and it played a much better role than any card game I had ever played. So I started to do it more often. Then I started to look for people who were looking for custom mats, and then my girlfriend at the time, she was like, "If you're gonna be doing this and you're gonna be taking time away from me to be on that computer, you better be getting paid for it."
Yeah.
And I was like, "All right," but she was right though, so I went along and I did start to charge people, but it was still just like $5, and a lot of people were a lot more happy with my end product than they were with official companies.
Yeah.
And most official companies were just, well, send us a picture, we'll print it,
Hmm.
and then that's it.
Hmm.
If you send a bad print, you're gonna get a bad print,
Right.
or if you send a bad image, you'll get a bad print. If you send a good image, then you'll get a good print. So that was that, and I wanted to kind of eliminate that. I started buying mats from different companies that were willing to make mats based on my designs or whatever, and I didn't like the experience.
Hmm.
Like it was very black and white and highly digital. Like it was all machine. There was no person there at all. I know that it's a person sending the emails and writing the responses and things like that, but it just felt so mechanic.
Hmm.
And there was no personalization. Like I couldn't tell them, I want Yugi's face to be turned to the side, or anything like that. I had to find a good looking image on Google, uh, spice it up myself, and then send it. I was never told that the dimensions were wrong. I was never told that this is going to come out a little fuzzy if you do send it in this size or in this format. None of that stuff was ever told to me. So when I would get the end product and I get the physical mat inside, like, everybody else is impressed because they don't know the process that I went to get the image done.
Right.
Um, but they're impressed. I'm looking at it and I'm just, this looked way better on my computer screen. I don't know what to do to get it better, and I just kept on doing that. And then after a while, I was just, I'm gonna do this myself. I'll look for someone that's willing to partner with me in print. I was trying to partner with people on Amazon and or Google,
Hmm.
and or eBay. Um, but those kind of conversations aren't allowed to be had on eBay or platform.
Right.
So on eBay or Amazon. So it was really hard to find a partner until a friend of mine told me that he's marrying someone who has a print shop. So if I could line up some mats to get printed over there, we could do that. So I started looking everywhere that I could for for blank mats, and we started talking, and everything was actually really really good. It was all first shot, like we spoke to each other for like 14 seconds, and instantly we were just like, you know what, I like the way you work, and everything was straight to the point, very honest. None of us were trying to cheat each other, because that's the other thing. There's so many what I call sharks
Right.
out there, and
Hmm.
it's just everybody just wants the next dollar. They don't care what you go through or how you feel about it. They just, am I getting paid? Yes. All right, I don't care. And I really hated that. Um, so to work with somebody who wasn't just trying to get a dollar out of me, I thought was fantastic. And the rest is technically history. It all started in Yu-Gi-Oh, and I put out advertisements on the Yu-Gi-Oh community page, and tons of people were hitting me up, and believe it or not, it cost me my relationship
Oh man.
because of how many people were hitting me up at a time, and I'm trying to respond to them. I tried taking off time for a little while, and it wasn't working.
Hmm.
Facebook doesn't allow you to reach out to everybody.
Hmm.
It's just whoever sees it sees it.
Right.
Whoever doesn't. So I put out posts of, guys, I'm gonna take some time off, and almost nobody got that memo. It was just so many people were hitting me up at the time. So it was a blessing and a curse. I mean, I'm away from that now. That was a little toxic, but we won't get. This is not.
Well, it sounds like you're
So,
doing a lot better now, though.
oh yes, I smile a whole lot more when I get orders. There's no negativity behind it at all. There's some customers that are harder to deal with than others, but I welcome the challenge. As I tell everybody all the time, I'm not afraid of hard work. People will get very particular with their orders, and I want this person looking like that and in this position, and I want this and that person in there too, and they have to be wearing this outfit because that's my favorite, and things like that. They'll get really really detailed in their request, and there's some things that I can do, certain things that I can't. Um, but I always tell them from the beginning, and they always seem to think that they're overwhelming me with a single request, and I, the more detailed your request is, yes, it's gonna be hard work, and I'm gonna be sitting there like, man, how am I gonna finish this? But the end result, you're gonna blow up in happiness. I'm gonna blow up in happiness, and when you actually get the mat, you're gonna fall in love all over again. So it was all worth it. That kind of effort shows in anything that you do. It doesn't. It could be math, or it could be creating content on YouTube. When you actually like what it is that you're doing, when you actually put effort toward what it is that you're doing, it shows in your content. So, um, so I put all effort forward to any request that I do get, um, and people definitely appreciate it. And there's that little small handful that doesn't. That's fine. They could not appreciate. They can go somewhere. They can go on eBay and go get a badly printed in. Um, but in the meantime, those that do appreciate, which is majority of the people that do order from, it it's shown from them, it's shown from me. Everything just works together because even though it is a purchase, it is a business. Um, there's so much personal feeling behind it, and that's what I put forward on the mat. And you really can see it and or feel it when you receive them.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
that's the goal.
it definitely shows. The mats that I've seen, I've only had the luxury of seeing a couple in person, but the designs that I've seen that you post online, they just look phenomenal. And I really do appreciate, the passion and the enthusiasm that you have for your craft, because at the end of the day,
Thank you.
you know, even though it might seem something so simple as, working with an image and printing a mat, you do put that passion and you do put that hard work into it because it's a reflection of your own self. You want to put out
Yes.
quality work because, you hold yourself to a certain standard. If you want to put out crappy work, then you probably don't respect yourself enough to do the work. So
Hmm.
it's definitely refreshing to see, multiple content creators in the community, whether it's YouTube or, custom designing or anything like that. As long as there's that passion and that enthusiasm, it kind of just jumps out at you, whether it's from when you're watching the video or when you receive the mat in the mail when it's custom made. As soon as you open that roller and you look at it, it just jumps at you like, wow, this guy, really put
Yes.
a lot of hard work into it for me. Like, who am I? He did all this hard work to please me. So it
Yeah.
definitely does
And that's
reflect
what I
on that.
want. That's what I want. Like, I've seen plenty. I mean, we've all seen plenty of these. Well, you can order this, and it's just a character or two, whatever. It's a number of characters um, from any show or anime or game that you play, and it's just slapped onto some cool background. Like the background is technically all of the work, and that's if it was created and not just downloaded as some template.
Right.
Because there's plenty. I could go onto Google right now and just type in cool background and get all kinds of wild looking stuff that does look cool. It's really entertaining to look at, and people download it. Oh, I'm gonna put this as the background on my computer and things of that nature. And there's plenty of guys who are like me. They have access to Photoshop, so just I'll take a PNG of Vegeta. Vegeta always comes to my head first,
Hmm.
but I'll take a cutout of Vegeta and I'll slap him on top of the cool background. The colors match. Holy crap, this looks great. And you can get on Microsoft Paint, for that matter, and just type the word Vegeta and put it in a nice font, put colors on, whatever, and all of a sudden you have a mat.
Right.
There's no rhyme or reason. There's no real effort, and you can see that, and I see that all the time. Whereas one of the requests that I've always taken pride in is one of the ones that got me started on the page, which is the Draftbox 2 cover on a
Okay.
mat.
Okay.
And holy crap, that took forever because I had no idea how I was gonna get that done. I can't just take a picture of a box and expand it and expect it to be crystal clear and
Right.
all of that stuff.
Right.
So it took, like, I believe it was 3 weeks, and I tried to draw every line that was on it, and I tried to mimic it. I had the box completely unfolded because I had plenty of draft box twos around that time.
Right.
But I opened up the box completely, and I'm looking at the box, and then draw a line on the computer, look at the box, draw another, and there was so much work that went into that because it needed to be identical. You know, wow, that was hard, but I got it done, and I mean the feeling of completing something that you worked hard on, amazing.
Of course, there's no better
But
feeling.
his response to it was absolutely amazing, and most of the time when people when people do get something made for me, especially around that time, it was more, I want this and this is going to be for me, and it's personalized, and by all means, custom mat, your direct input. Um, but he wanted to show this off to the world and make sure other people got mats from me because of it. And like that really is what got me started, because a few people knew who I was. I could probably count on two hands how many people actually knew who I was.
Hmm.
And after that mat, all of a sudden there was this huge influx of people that wanted mats made from me, and my heart pitter patters every time I think. Um, but yeah, there's an effort behind it, and it needs to be there. It needs to be like I try to tell people when they do make an order, I don't want it to just be a picture that you like. I want you to feel whatever it is that you're ordering. So a lot of the time, I get the Vegeta sacrifice moment
Yeah.
request as
Yeah.
a mat, and it's a super popular moment, so it's going to be a super popular request. Um, it's it's his sacrifice. So I remember how I felt when I first saw the episode.
Hmm.
I remember the goosebumps that I
Hmm.
got,
Hmm.
when he's, just completely stretched out and pushed to his limit and he's breaking. Oh man, I remember all of it, and I want that. That's what I think about as I'm making the mat. Whatever the emotion was at the moment of whatever it is that I'm putting on the mat. That's what I want. If the character is a pissed off character all the time, then I want that mat to feel angry. I want that mat to feel aggressive. I want that mat to feel like it's on fire when people look at it. And if the character is zen, I want people to look at that like, wow, that's really pretty.
Right.
It doesn't have to always be a awesome looking, just for lack of a better term, Google download.
Right.
I want it to be a mat that you.
Yeah, and I think that's very important because you know, at the end of the day, you're creating art, and art is probably, you know, one of the oldest forms of self expression that we have in our culture. And when you can grab somebody's attention without explanation or without using words or without, just kind of giving them your perspective and what you were thinking at the time you designed it, when you can just show somebody something and they, you know, have an emotional reaction to just something that they're looking at visually, you know, mission accomplished at that point. Being an artist, that's exactly what you want to do. You want to
Right.
portray your image and create an emotion or create a reaction from somebody's
Right.
visual
You want to
interpretation of what they're
invoke that
seeing.
that
Right.
genuine
Exactly. So, I mean, when it comes down to it, that's exactly what you're doing. You're putting yourself on a canvas and it's translating into positive results. And what you mentioned before about, the guy who you created the draft box map for, when it comes
Yeah.
to networking, as a business, any type of referral that you get from somebody who's purchased one of your products is what's going to increase your productivity. I mean, you get one good review from somebody, that one person's going to tell all of his friends, and now all of his friends are going
Oh
to go
yeah.
to that guy. So, one hand washes the other. The more effort you put
Right.
into your work and the more positivity that you get, the more work you're going to end up getting, and it's going to benefit you in the long run.
Right. That word of mouth factor is so much more valuable than people really give it credit for. You could pay Facebook to advertise your stuff all over the place. I could get a commercial on TV, something, but it's not the same as hearing from another person. This person did this for me. You have to see it. Like when it's one thing for somebody to say that they approve of an item, and anybody can say that they approve of. Oh yeah, that's good. But it's another thing when somebody is almost promoting the item for you. That person isn't getting paid. That person isn't, under the umbrella or banner of whatever it is that they're advertising. They're saying from the bottom of their heart, what they feel or what they think about whatever it is that they're trying to interest you in because of how interested they are. And that's the fact that I've had any kind of response like that from anybody just blows my mind. So like when people ask on the community page, "Hey, is there anybody that makes custom mats?" and I see like five people in a row, John Alonzo, John Alonzo, John Alonzo, John Alonzo. I'm just like, I always blush. That's one.
Yeah.
But I go ear to ear with smiles, and I can't believe that that's happened. Uh, and once Facebook allowed care reacts, I was like, oh yes, this I like this. I started care reacting to all of those because I really do care so much about it. It means so much. It's not like everybody can get on and create a post. Hey, this guy did this, that, and the third for me, and it came out like this. So, if you guys are interested, hit them up. I always appreciate those, but I also understand that not everybody can do that.
Right.
It also doesn't come to everybody's mind to do. So, you get your mat, you're hype about it, can't wait to use it. You're not gonna go make a post. You go to locals and you slap that baby on the table,
Right.
and that's that. So I still appreciate it, and I understand those who can't or don't. Um, so the word of mouth just has such a strong factor, and that's been all of my stuff. It's been all word of mouth because I haven't advertised anything. I've made a post or two, letting people know you can you can order some custom mats from me, but they don't get excited because somebody said you can order custom mats. That's everywhere. They get excited because of the quality of the image that they see. They saw something that they liked, they got really impressed, which impresses me because it shows that I'm actually doing what I set out to do.
Hmm.
Um, and that's it's a picture is worth a thousand words, and I never find the words to describe how I feel when people are excited to order from me, and it's all from word of mouth. So I love that. I love that.
I mean, yeah, it's at the end of the day, it's human nature. When you put effort into something, and a completely random individual acknowledges it and gives you justification for what you're doing, or like a pat on the back, so to speak, it always feels good.
Yeah,
As a content creator, it's not something that you might be looking for. Like, you don't create content. I mean, for most people, don't create content looking for compliments or looking for validation. But when they get it,
right.
it's always like a boost to, like, yeah, you know what? Okay, this person liked it, so I'm doing something right. And it could just be one person. I mean, I left the game for a little bit, and then I just recently came back. But was out when I was in the thick of
Yeah, I was
it.
sad about that.
Uh,
Just to
uh,
say, I was sad. I was like, where's my no content, no combos? Where?
Sorry about that. I had to take some time off, man. I'm sure you can understand.
We all do. I got you.
But yeah, I mean, when I was heavy into the thick of it, and you always get new people flushing into the community and making posts about, oh, what content creators can I follow? I would see those posts, and every once in a while, I would, see my YouTube channel in there. Oh, go watch No Counters, No Combos. They have good
Uh
content,
huh.
and I would just be like, oh yes, like this is the greatest feeling in the world. But
It
it's
really is.
it is.
I know when you. All right. One of the main things that I love about your channel, love since day one, is not to shun or downplay anybody else's channels in any way, shape, or form. But one of the things that I've always liked about your channel is the simple fact that you have an actual interest in the game itself. You want to see the game improve and progress. You look for ways to improve people's experience and things of that nature. Like that's somebody who's really into what it is that they're doing. It's not like Bandai reached out to you and said, "Hey, make a page, make a channel, and have people watch it, and make sure you talk about us." This was done on your volition. This was all your idea, and you just went forward with it because you were that interested.
Hmm.
And that says so much. And like I was saying before, you can feel that in your content, and I love it.
I appreciate that, man.
I had to say that publicly.
I definitely appreciate that. I mean, my whole thing, right, is obviously it's a platform, right? YouTube is a platform for me to express my thoughts, my ideas, and my opinions. But that's all that they are at the end of the day. They're just opinions. Nothing that I say is
Yeah,
is the law. Nothing is factual. I want people to think outside the box. I mean, recently when I came back into the game, recently I've tried focusing more on budget friendly content because I know there's a huge group of people that are just getting into the game or just coming back into the game or
yeah,
they want to maintain a budget while playing. And for the longest time, I felt like there wasn't a voice for that audience. So I just took it upon myself to be like, okay, you know what? Let me approach this game from a different angle. And I'll tell you what, man, experimenting with budget options has definitely opened my mind up to,
yeah.
to experiment with different combinations of certain cards. And it's amazing because there's such a vast card pool. And when you can take advantage of 90% of that card pool as opposed to just maybe 70%
Yup,
because you're playing the expensive stuff, it just
yup.
opens
I know
you up for
exactly
so
what
many
you
more
mean.
possibilities. And that's what I've really had fun doing that lately.
I can imagine. I remember as I mentioned earlier, I would play Yu-Gi-Oh and I would always play something rogue. I've always been one of those people who's very very frugal. So I try not to spend even a single dollar. Um, 'Cause, yeah, I need that to last. If there's a phrase I've ever gone by, something that my mom says a lot, is the month is long, so stretch your pockets.
Yep.
And so playing card games, that's extremely hard to do. Come out with some awesome looking card that does some awesome stuff that helps your deck do awesome things. And what is that, a $30 card? Man, all right, I'm spending it. And there you go. And I mean, by all means, the card game is still a business, so they need to make their money, so they need to be able to do. But there's always an alternative
Yep.
that's a lot more affordable, and it still gives you the same amount of fun. We play the game so we could have.
Correct.
People get so caught up in the on in the competitive aspect of it. I'm better than you and I'll beat you and blah 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 blah. Like everything is all about the win,
Hmm.
which I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to play to win. But it's almost as if their existence in the game is particularly for the win, not the experience. Um, so I used to play all kinds of stuff that people would say, "Who runs that? Like, nobody runs that.
Right.
Put that away. That's garbage."
Yep.
And I would wreck people
Yeah.
with stuff that they told me not to put in their deck. Dragon Ball is no exception. I remember in the early going of the game when Set Two came out, and I put um, Unyielding the Spirit
Oh
Trunks
man,
in
don't
my
even get me
deck, and
started about that card, man.
right. I mean, everybody told me it was slow and it's dumb. I used to run that and the Monica card. It's a one drop extra card that
Yep.
gives your
Gives you
leader
double strike and draws a
double
card. Yeah,
strike.
man. Listen,
And you
I
draw a
know.
card.
I know.
Like, where's the negative here? And everybody told me it's too slow. And, like, you want bodies. How I'm gonna play it. And I was playing at the time. I was playing Soul Striker, so I could get my energy back after doing so. But once Trunks came out, I was just like, oh, so I'm going Vegeta. And so I started playing Blue Vegeta, and my favorite skill in the entire game is critical.
Yeah, of
So I have
course.
a leader that self awakens, gives himself critical, and is blue, my favorite color. And it's my favorite character. How do I not play
Yeah.
this? So I was playing that and I was going in, but there was plenty of cards that people would tell me not to run. And I remember topping and or winning shop tournaments based on those very cards. And it's simply because I played differently than most other people. They I've noticed a lot of player bases, and it doesn't matter what game you're playing. The majority of the player base usually goes based on, well, what topped in that last
Yep.
tournament. What were the top more popular players playing?
Yep.
I'll play that so that I can win. And what they seem to fail to realize or soak in, I guess, is that person that went to a tournament to go play this deck and ended up beating everybody. Knew all of the ins and outs of that deck because they more than likely, or maybe not more than likely, I don't know. But they created the deck from scratch, put it all together. Mind you, this is early state of the game. There's
Right.
almost none of that. But somebody put in the effort and the time to put together this deck that didn't exist before, and they learned the ins and outs of it, and so you could play their exact same deck against them, and they will wreck you
Of
because they
course.
understand the ins and outs while you understand what you saw them do, and that's it. You don't understand the why, and that's the more powerful question. It's not the what, it's not even the how many, it's the why. Why do you run this? And everybody's why is different. If I'm a very defensive player, like when
Hmm.
it comes to computer games, I'm a turtle. I'm gonna
Okay.
stay there and build up my base, and then I'll come and attack you when I'm ready.
Hmm.
But in the meantime, while you're coming to hit me, I'm not really taking damage. You have to get past my defenses.
Right.
So okay, cool, and that's where my brain goes. I'm a very defensive player. So in current day, I'm still trying to make red yellow uh, pan work, and simply because it's my first taste of being aggro, and I loved it.
You're talking about like
But
set three pan leader?
the red pan
You're
leader, yeah.
brave. You're so brave.
Yeah, I love it so much, that simple little five boost,
Yeah.
and you get the draw if you
Yeah.
hit 20. I love that, and I always try to look for cards that are 15 and up and very low cost and all of that stuff so I could get it in, and I'll always be able to draw. I came up with this one particular combo that I'm super freaking proud of because I hadn't seen anybody else do it, so I knew it was original.
Nice.
Um, and I love doing that, but the deck that has my heart is Bulma because red is an aggro color,
Ugh.
and everything that they do produce is aggro. So all right, but she allows whatever red. Well, if you're gonna play Saiyan and Earthling, she allows that to be a defensive deck.
Yeah.
So you're able to play defensive for as long as you can or as long as you want to, and at will flip the script and go super active,
Yep.
which is crazy. It's versatile and wow, that's insane. So I've always tried to make that work, but because I don't really play the game against other people, I don't have the experience that I need to actually make things work.
Right.
So I just saw that Bulma made top eight at that PPG event, and I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
it's not fair. That was supposed to be me.
So you mentioned actually playing the game. So how often, if at all, do you get to actually play?
I try to play at least every other week. Like, I don't get to play weekly, or I used to play daily. I was playing every day after work. I was going to my friend Ortiz's house, and we would bomb each other with cards all the time. It's like, I got this strategy, and watch, I'm gonna blow you out the water. Watch, sit down. We're gonna play. And we just sit down and just swing at each other all day with cards. And we played like from game to game. We made our own terrible tournaments where we play one card game and lead it into the next card game, lead it into the next, and the most wins won. And then like the loser had to like pay for food, and we were just just having a ball with
Yeah.
cards. But we were playing daily. Then once this mat thing started to pick up, there's a whole lot less free time.
Right.
But people hear that from me and they're like, "Oh, damn, that sucks." It doesn't. Like I said before, this is my stress relief,
Yeah.
and if there's anything, I'm a little less content about saying this now, but I suffer from depression, so anything that's a stress relief for me is fantastic. So even though I only get like $3 to $5 per item that I sell, from I'm making $0, but I'm still getting paid for doing something that is my stress relief. I'm getting paid for doing something so I don't really see it as it took away from my personal time.
Of course.
I still pay attention to the game. Every reveal that they put out, Jesus. Every reveal that they put out, I'm looking at the new cards, thinking of ways to improve this or that deck. So while I don't get to play as often as I do, like I said, it's like every, every other week I could probably get about 2 or 3 days back to back that I can play.
Hmm.
But I gotta get right back because I do. On top of the mats, I do have my regular job.
Right.
I have two full time security jobs.
Yeah.
So
Wow, that's crazy.
I go from one, and sometimes I get stuck on in double shifts, and I hate it. Um, but I go to one, and I'll do a shift there, and right after, about 4 or 5 hours later, I still have to make it to the next one. So going home, that luckily I have insomnia, so sleep is not a thing.
Oh
Um,
man.
it's really really rare that I actually get to sleep, and when I do sleep, it's out. Um, but yeah, I'll go from one job to the next, and then when I do get home, I've got plenty of orders waiting for me, so I'm on the computer and I'm just doing that. I also have my daughter, so when I'm around my daughter, that's her time.
Yep. Yep.
So nobody else matters, nothing else matters. There, daughter, boom. Um, and same thing with my girlfriend. Her time is her time, and I refuse to take that away because as I said earlier, it can cost me a relationship. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
I like my relationship currently. I'm very happy.
Well, that's good.
So
I'm glad to hear that.
I know a lot of people don't necessarily get to say that. So
Yeah.
I'll say that with joy and a smile on my face.
Yeah, but I want to touch on a little bit of what you talked about and finding a balance, right? So,
Hmm.
I think a lot of people forget that at the end of the day, this is a card game and it's a hobby. It's something that you do
Yeah.
for fun, or that it should be done for fun rather, and it's something that you do to like escape, you know, the stresses of reality, so to speak. You kind of detach for a
Yeah.
couple hours and play some card games and stuff like that with your buddies. And I think it's important that people find that balance. Like, you know, you have two jobs, you have a family. I'm married with three kids. I have a full time job. So,
Oh, bless you.
yeah, thank you. So, it is very, very important to not let certain things consume you because that's not
Yeah.
healthy, and and obviously, from experience, it can affect your personal relationships.
Yeah.
When I was before I left the game, I was committing a lot of time to it, maybe a little more than I should have. Whether it was playing or content or this commitment or that commitment or whatever
Yeah.
the case may be, there might have been an overcommitment to the game, and sometimes you forget the more important things that need your attention. So,
Yeah.
for anybody who's listening to this podcast, anybody who struggles with, you know, time management or struggles with depression or struggles with just finding a moment to step back and take a breath, it's very important to make the effort to find that balance because the last thing you
Oh
want to do
yes.
is overwhelm yourself to the point where, you know, bad things or negative things can happen. So,
Oh yes.
I think it's very
Yeah.
important.
I was just in a depression not that long ago. This COVID thing hit, and like I'm pretty sure anybody that had any big plans were like 2020 is the year.
Hmm.
Um, but the way everything was shaping out, 2020 really was supposed to be the year. And we had all kinds of partnerships that were lined up, and like we had just started to do oversized mats or even custom sized mats. So we love doing mats for like events, like like 1Ks or local tournaments or anything like that. We love doing stuff like so we were going to be able to do full table mats. So I could imagine how much more stuff we could produce, and just like I know how much of the community likes the table mats, even though they're not necessarily the most affordable thing. To have them, I think is absolutely fantastic. So a store could order it to decorate their store or to give it away as a prize,
Yep.
because there's some people that really do fashion that
That's
stuff.
definitely a flex, a
Um,
table mat.
like how do you that's definitely something you want to show off when you have it. So I was definitely looking forward to that, and we were already designing the very first one. And so yeah, so there was custom size mats, there was custom shape mats, I was ready to do like circle table mats,
Wow.
and yeah, we were going in with ideas. There was no shortage at all. Then COVID hit, and it wasn't even a pandemic yet. It was still just a scare,
Yep.
and everybody that we were in contact with were all overseas.
Mm.
Um, there was one company that was gonna do multicolor stitching, so we were gonna have like black stitching on a mat, red stitching,
Oh, that
blue
would have been
stitching,
sick.
green
Oh, that
stitching.
would have been so
You
sick.
know, like there's so many different ways to utilize it, and you know, it doesn't just have to be the color of your deck. It could just be something that accents the mat itself. And we were looking into so many different things, and yeah, everybody was with it. Like, they were very happy that an up and coming company was willing to reach out and you know like reach for the stars and stuff. And everybody was supporting. And once this thing started to become a scare, they were just like, well, due to the circumstances, we need to pull back.
Yeah.
And not one of them have been able to bounce back from it. In fact, a lot of those companies even got
That's crazy.
so yeah, it was oh man, it
I
was
mean, it's
such a
it's
bomb.
it's rough, man, when you're looking at, you know, obviously at the end of the day, the obviously the most important thing is you want everybody to stay safe and be healthy, right? But if you're looking at the bigger
Hmm.
picture, you know, COVID has affected so many things. Like
Yeah,
you would never even think twice. Like somebody who has no idea of, you know, what a local gaming store culture is like, they would never think twice
yeah.
about that, right? But somebody like,
Hmm.
you know, you or me who, you know, spend a lot of time probably at local gaming shops or comic book stores or whatever, those are the first places to close down because that's how
Yep.
they make their monies with people in the store,
Right.
you know?
Their livelihood is this. It's the personal interaction.
Yeah,
Personal interaction has been barred for a certain amount of time.
exactly.
So how is my business supposed to flourish? I still need to pay the rent bills on my facility. I
Yep.
still need to pay, you know, like there's so many things that go into that, and you know they are supposed to keep stock. There's stock pricing where you're supposed to pay for memberships in order for you to get the items that you're about to sell, and you can't pay for that because nobody's coming in to buy anything right now because personal interaction is banned.
Yeah. And on top of that, there was already a lack of physical brick and mortar stores to begin with.
Right.
So now
Yeah.
you add a global pandemic into the fray, and you know, bye bye locals. You
Uh,
know.
yeah. It was very much a nuke. All of them.
Yeah.
There's some who can possibly survive, but not a lot.
I mean,
Not a
you
lot.
got. I mean, the bigger ones like PPG, right? They're a local in Miami, but they have the luxury of being the official tournament organizer for the Dragon Ball Super card game. So
Yeah.
you know they have, you know, support from Bandai and stuff like that. So like the bigger ones will stay open. I'm sure cool stuff in Orlando is gonna stay open.
Yeah.
I don't know if Bearded Collectibles is open. I know their online shop is open, but I don't know if their storefront is open. You know, my old local that I used to go to, Computer and Gaming Universe, they're still open. But as far as New Jersey is concerned, which is primarily where I used to play, we used to have, you know, 4 or 5 different shops that would host tournaments, and now there's only one. So go figure.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the same over here. Like I'm in New York City, so I'm like smack dab in Chinatown in Manhattan,
Okay.
and there were like 4 or 5 different places you could go for cards, sit down. A lot of them started doing like Smash Bros tournaments and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So they all had space. And, you go, you sit down, you play, and you just have a time. But just over time, they all started to dissipate anyway. And this is way before COVID was even a thought in anybody's mind.
Yeah.
So you saw the dwindling. They just started to dissipate store by store by store by store, and now there's like 3 stores in the New York area or the New York City area that most people know about, and most of it is like King's Games in Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
You have Truly Urban, which everybody knows as Mel's in the Bronx,
Mm-hmm.
and right down the block from Mel's is Phil's. Um, you have Card Quest, but mm, I don't know. Card Quest seems to be almost a bias for some people,
Hmm.
but a lot of people really don't know that it exists unless you're from New York. Outside of New York, I've only ever heard anybody talk about Mel's King's Game and Phil's, which blows my. What? That's the status of that. So I mean, to watch all of these stores that could have been alternatives, or they had great ideas, or just like the overall ambiance is fantastic, and then they just got yanked from under you. It's just wait, I love going to that store. What happened? And they just gone. And it's already hard to keep your self-made shop afloat in today's day and age. So this COVID thing and just showed up and super punched everybody, and
Yeah,
nobody was ready for it.
it's unfortunate, man. I hope I hope that there's better days ahead of us. Wishful thinking and thinking positive, but right
Yeah.
now we just gotta take it day by day and still, if you can, support your local gaming store. That should probably be your first option.
Oh yes.
But it also becomes the problem of obtaining product. I mean, Set 11 just released last week, and there's already a ton of shortages.
Hmm.
So, as far as
I feel
big,
like with the Dragon Ball card game,
mhm,
I I love it to death. I still have plenty of fun with it. But I feel like that is one of the things that is wrong with it. Like it's not so much that content comes out too fast. It's more along the lines of how much new content comes out at the rate that it comes out, and revealing every other week doesn't help either. But it's like there's so you have a core set, and the set is going to come out. It's got almost 200 cards in it, and
mhm,
everybody's looking forward to it. Each color has their own set list, and
mhm,
everybody looks forward to the SPRs and the SCRs. And all right, cool, nice. So we have all new deck strategies. Every set comes out with a new mechanic, which is crazy. But I mean, it seems to be working. I don't know if it exactly is, but it's you have new mechanics, new ways to play the game, new
mhm,
things to learn each and every set.
mhm,
So okay, but those are the core sets. So we have one each every like 4 months, or now I believe it's three.
mhm.
I remember before it was 4 months,
Yep,
but now it's three,
yep,
right? So all right, cool. So you get four core sets per year, awesome. But then you also have the draft boxes,
yep,
and the draft boxes are now fully original content,
yep.
and it's way I'm not too sure. Like, that's still a lot of original content. While I understand the draft box has its own intention and it's built for draft play,
Mhm.
let's be real here. It's
Yep.
going to be used in constructed play.
Of course.
So, so you have all of this new content that's also coming out on top of the core set. And then you also have the expansion sets, which are also majority original. And then I mean, well, not and then we used to have the mini set, the mini box, but even that was purely original content.
Mhm.
So you have all of this new stuff on top of new stuff on top of new stuff, and while it's great to have a plethora of options to go to, everything is limited print.
Yeah.
So the prices skyrocket so fast. Um, Secondary market becomes almost impossible to avoid,
Mhm.
and then it's super expensive to stay part of. And I mean, I've already stated I'm a frugal person, so even a $10 card is just like, wait, why so much?
Oh yeah. I
But
don't even. I can't do it.
when you have people that are willing to spend $300, and even they are saying this game is expensive,
Yeah.
that says a lot. So I mean, it while it's not like I have answers or anything like that, I just pull some of that back. Almost nothing gets reprinted until anniversary. And I actually liked the draft boxes 1 through 3 because we were getting, reprints, and
Mhm.
that's what you need. You want the sets to be reinforced. So all right, so set 11 is going to be limited. All right, cool. Well, I'll try to see if I can buy it. Oh damn, it's sold out at all the stores.
Yep.
So I'm gonna have to wait for draft box. and Draftbox comes out, and you try to buy that out too. And if you were short to that, then you kind of missed your shot there.
Yeah.
But you had at least two chances to go get it, and that would have been fine. But set 11 is out. Almost nobody has the product, and so all right. So where am I supposed to get it from then? So I have to go to secondary market because Draftbox isn't going to reprint. I'm not going to wait for December for them to give me an anniversary box,
Yeah.
or the Christmas box or anything to actually give me the reprints that I've been waiting for all year. And by the time that comes, the meta would have changed like 3 or 4 times by then because of all of the original that comes out. So it's definitely it's a damper for newer players. For
Yeah.
aged players that have been we've been playing since day one and all this other stuff. Like I'm definitely one of those people because I remember I was at New York Comic Con and again my friend Ortiz, he was really adamant about trying out this game and we went to the Dragon Ball desk and they had us do a scavenger hunt
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah, the Trunks
we
cards
had
were
to
the promos for that. I remember that.
yes, yes.
Yeah,
So
dude.
we had to find the Dragon Balls, and we went crazy
Yeah.
with that stuff, and we were so happy. And but we did walk away with those. I still have them in my book too. I have a playset.
Those are like
Oh, I love
some
them.
of the rarest cards in the game, man. Those puzzle stamped Light of Hope Trunkses,
Yeah,
they're super
look
rare.
at that. Yeah, that's a win for me.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
So so we had that, and we tested the game out because he got like his half deck,
Yeah, I remember. I
and
got a trial deck too with the green Goku leader. That was my trial deck.
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we were testing that out at his house. We were just messing around, but we had such a ball playing the game. And we just said this is only half the deck. So
Mm-hmm.
imagine, when we're able to fully construct and be original with it and all of that stuff. And oh man, we were really excited about the game. It came out, we played it, we were even more excited. So obviously we stood on. We still both play to this day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the feel of it is not as fun as it was in the beginning. So for us being diehard Dragon Ball fans to begin with, which is why we even tried out the game, uh, it's it's fine for us. It's we're hobbyists.
Right.
So a new set is gonna come out. All right, well, what's gonna be in that set? Does
Right.
it help me? No. All right, what about that? We just move on to the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
But we do look forward to the next product. For a newer player coming in, hearing all of these complaints about how expensive the game is, that's already a deterrent. And to be in the game and try to look for cards that may be able to help you, um, the advice that you get from other players is always very meta supported. Um, so it just leads them to the more expensive cards that are already virtually impossible.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
it's really hard for newer players. It's
yeah.
still fun but it's really hard for them to stay interested when there's so many kind of hurdles to jump over in order to get to your.
Yeah, I mean, I think my if there's any advice I could give to a new player coming into this game, it's the first thing you should do is establish what kind of player you want to be. Do you want to be an
Hmm.
uber competitive player that's going to go to large events and try to compete with the upper echelon of the community? Or do you just want to go to
Hmm.
locals once a week and play with your buddies? Like, I think you have to make that determination because,
Right.
as much as I would never want anybody to shy away from the game, you do have to kind of tell them like it is. Like, there's an expensive way to play Dragon Ball, which is probably 80% of the community. That's how they play.
Hmm.
And then there's a smaller group of like 20% of the players that, they just want to play and have fun and play jank or play cheap decks or, play with older
That's what I
cards
mean.
or don't care about foiling and stuff like that. And then you
I
have to make
know.
that decision for yourself. I've been blessed because I've had the experience of being an uber competitive player before I left and I took a year off
Hmm.
and now I've come back into the game and I'm structuring myself to be more of a budget player. So I see both sides and I see the benefits
Yeah.
of both sides. But at the end of the day, I would never tell anybody how to spend their money. So you have to make that decision for yourself, I think.
Agreed.
So
I couldn't agree more.
yeah, so we're getting close to a little bit over an hour here, which is doesn't even feel like it's been an hour because we've had such a great
It
conversation.
really
But
doesn't.
I kind of wanted to ask you a little bit now, one more question as opposed in regards to the whole custom creations that you guys do over at Trifinity. So, if I'm not mistaken, right now you guys offer a rubber mat, a stitched rubber mat, and a two-player cloth mat.
Yep.
And you guys also do
We
custom
also
sleeves,
have
right?
single player stitched, single player cloth. We have dual player rubber. A lot of people ask for dual player rubber stitched, and we don't have that option because
Okay.
that was overseas.
Okay. So
Um,
out of all the items that you offer, what is like the most difficult one to make?
I would say the foil mats. The foil mats are um, traditional mats. Like you can also get them stitched, yes, but primarily we try to keep them traditional because our supplier is a little. Um, I mean, we damn. I say it like I actually had to do a live video not that long ago where we had to put a pause on foil mat because the guy that we were working with he was playing a little too many games.
Mm,
So,
that's
we had
unfortunate.
to just cut that short. Our reputation is on the line. We have a sparkling reputation right now, and COVID put a real big dirt spot that's hard to remove
Yeah.
on that. So, we can't have you helping COVID dirty our reputation. Um, so, but in the meantime, creating it is really difficult because you have the mat itself, which is already simple enough for us to make. It's not hard for us to create the image, or for me to create the image on a mat. It's really not difficult at all. Simply because I play with them a lot. I really do just explore my options and just, what I haven't tried this. And I just start messing around with it. So
Hmm.
each and every mat that I make is literally a learning experience. And sometimes I revisit some stuff simply because I had more fun with that than I did with something else. Like glow effects. I love making things look like they're lighting up.
Hmm.
And because there's so much aura work in Dragon Ball,
Right.
that's always fun to play with. Um, and the more I can get it to look realistic or like how it looks on the show, I love that. So I play around with that a lot. So messing with the image itself, it doesn't take a very long time. Like I always tell people, I'll reach out to you in a week or give me 2 weeks, and we'll have everything set up. It's not because the image takes 2 weeks to make. It's because I have a whole lot of orders, and I don't want to tell you I'll be done tomorrow, which is when this should be done. And I lost track and started making another person's mat because they
Right.
ordered before you, and then I forgot about your mat. Things like that. So
Yeah, you
giving
don't
me
want to
everything
over promise and
specific,
under deliver. I get it.
right? That's not fair to the customer at all. So I set a fair amount of time, and then I'll send people their sample image, and they'll approve or disapprove. Then we'll work on
Hmm.
it. But the reason why the foil mats are so hard to finalize is because there's something in imaging called gradients, right? So when a blue fades into a darker blue, and it's not just solid blue and then a solid dark blue, um, that little fade is called a gradient.
Hmm.
It's a mixture of different colors.
Right.
Even though you're only seeing two shades, it's still a mixture of the two colors.
Right.
And there are printers that can't handle gradient.
Okay.
Um, since foiling has a layer on it, it's a cutout layer. It has to have solid line. Gradients are faded, so there's nothing solid about it.
Right.
So, there's plenty of times where I'll get a request. Oh, can we make his aura, foil? And I'm just, we can, but it's gonna look like this, and I'll send it to them, and then it has like the clean straight edges, and it takes away from the aura feel,
Hmm.
and then they don't necessarily like it like that. So you have to get creative with how you do it so that it still complements the image. But that's a process. You have to have an interest in what you do in order to achieve that. Um, and it always takes time because it's all by hand. Like there's plenty of tools that you can use on Photoshop to make it easier for you, but it's always going to take time because you do have to draw it. And something that I do try to tell people all the time is I can't draw the images from scratch. Can't. I've tried so many times, and I improve every little bit, but it's still not to the point where I feel it's good enough to show everybody and hey, look at this, look at this. This looks accurate right here, and it really doesn't. It's one of those pictures where you'll get a bully and he'll look at it. Why does he look like that? Why is his eye so big? Why is his chin so round? The kid
Right.
has a pointy chin. Things like that. Um, so because of all of those inaccurate, try to stay away from showing people my personal art. But
Hmm.
but overall, the effect work is what I more specialize. So to draw things from scratch does take me personally a much longer time to actually finalize because I do need it to complement your image. It can't just be something that I wrote and or something that I drew. And I am a little bit of a perfectionist. I think you have to be with
Yeah,
this.
I agree.
Um, right? So I mean, I try to draw it and I'll look at it. I'll back up, try to look at the big speed, and it there's always something that I don't like. And that's part of the artistic process of it. You see your own flaws, and you try to go back and fix it. Sometimes you kind of mess it up, in trying to fix it, and that sets you back in time. So, I'll have this ready for you in 2 weeks, and 2 weeks is up, and hey, do you have my image? No, I don't, because I need to finish this first. This is what it looks like now, and sometimes they appreciate that, but a lot of the time it's kind of like you told me 2 weeks. I was excited about 2 weeks, and 2 weeks is up. And there are some customers that are more forgiving, others that aren't. Um, I feel like that's just the more difficult part, trying to get the foil layer to be the shape that it needs to be, so that when it is made, because that's the other thing, I am working via partnership. So I send the digital image to my partner, and he renders it on his computer, and then he cuts it out from the foil sheet, which is why it's so inexpensive. Um, because it really is two artistic talents
Right.
coming together to make your mat
Hmm.
as gorgeous as it is. I really, really wish it was like just a computer program. Here, put this in there, have it printed out, and have it
Hmm.
cut. That'd be like 10 minutes maybe, and we'd be all right. But it's not that simple right now. Um, so that's really the hardest part, or the hardest item that we ever have to work with. Because working with sleeves is always a joy. It's a small picture, and it is still a challenge. I actually consider the sleeves more challenging than the mat. The mat gives you so much space at 24 by 14, so you
Right.
have all of this space to mess around with and get creative.
Right.
Whereas a sleeve, not so much. So you have to get creative. You can't just bunch everything in there. Something that I've seen a lot is like a matte image will be there, and then the sleeve image is like a zoomed in portion of what's already made it up. You could have just reworked it,
Hmm.
just at least that's what I. Um, but yeah, so that's what I like to do. I like to make things. It's custom work, So you
Right.
have the matte version, and you have the sleeve version, so it needs to work.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Um, but yeah, that's a joy. The dual player cloth mats are always a joy because it's an even space. It's 26 by 26, so you have the exact same amount of space on one side than you do on the other. Whereas to the dual player rubbers are 23 by 28, so it's more rectangular than the square. So there's certain things that look great in a symmetrical shape and don't look all that great on the rectangles because of it's been like elongated.
Right.
Um, So it's really all personal preference, honestly.
Hmm.
But the hardest thing to work with is always the foil mats because it's two different people working on two very, very different aspects that have to seem seamless. They have to come off as if one person did it and it just came out great.
Yep. Yep.
You know, Teamwork makes the dream work.
Exactly. Exactly. And you know what? With that being said, man, like teamwork makes the dream work, but even the individual work that you've been doing for, you know, probably over a year or two now at this point since the game's been out. Uh,
Yeah, I think
myself,
we're reaching 2 years.
yep. My
3 years. Sorry, but
yeah,
we reached 2 years.
myself
We
and
celebrated.
you should have like a little party, you know, like a little a little
Right.
anniversary party. But you know,
I believe we're hitting 3 years in. I think it's June. June we'll be hitting.
well, congratulations. Hopefully, you have many more years. You know, myself and many other members of the community, we can't praise you enough for the great work that you've done and that you continue to do for us. So, for anybody that's listening that needs to contact you or get in touch with you, or maybe they want to order some product from you, what's the easiest way to get in touch with you? Where can we find you?
The best way to reach out to me is always on Facebook. If if you can't find the page, facebook.com/ Trifinity Custom. TriFinity Custom. And that's you message the page. I have a great friend who I cannot I cannot not mention. Her name is Alicia. She deals with all of my freaking headaches, and I know I am not the easiest person to work with because I'm a perfectionist.
Hmm.
This needs to get done like that, and you can't say things like this. And, I've gotten the argument of if you want it to be said a specific way, you talk to them. And we've had that conversation a million times. Not myself and Alicia, but other people that have tried to represent the page, and it's all friends coming together to help one friend, myself, achieve his dream. And my dream in this is to have custom gaming accessories. That's it. It doesn't have to be card games in particular.
Just gaming in general.
Uh, right. Just anything that has to do with gaming, especially now because we have all kinds of new aspects being added, like masks, for example.
Yep.
And we're actually working on that. On Saturday, I'm actually going to have an announcement on the page. So hey, if anybody's listening, Saturday, tune in on on the Trifinity page on Facebook. We've got a pretty big announcement to make in regards to new items that will be.
Well,
Um,
I'm looking forward to that announcement. I actually ordered a custom mask a couple months back, and I've been using it ever since. But it's the mask itself is kind of crappy quality, so I'll be looking forward to seeing what you got in store for us.
oh, goody. I'm, I'm excited about that because I'm still wearing this thing now. I actually have the first one in my hand. I wear it every day because I have to go outside. I have to like go on the train and stuff like that. And over here, they don't want you doing anything
Yep.
without a mask.
Yeah, it's the world we live in.
And I have this thing on and forget I even have.
Yeah. I listen. I completely get you, man. It's a crazy world out there, but unfortunately, it's the world that we live in, and the most important thing is wear your
Yeah.
mask to stay safe. You know, there's really nothing else we could do about it for
hmm
right now.
You gotta adapt. This is gonna be the way things are now. So cool. Let's make the best of it, and let's try to stay as positive as we can, and we move forward to the next good thing.
Yeah. On that note, Mr. John Alonzo, thank you again so much for joining us on this edition of the Four Corners podcast. For those of you listening, like you said earlier, you can find them on Facebook. Trifinity Customs is the Facebook page. Send them a message if you're looking for great quality custom created mats, single player, dual player, card sleeves, whatever it is. Go through Trifinity Customs because John does phenomenal work and he has been for quite some time for the Dragon Ball Super card game community. So, with that being said, we're going to get on out of here. Thank you again so much for listening and tune in next
Thanks for
week.
having me.
Oh man, anytime you want to come on the podcast, just hit me up, let me know.
Let's
We'll
go.
bang
We're
it
gonna
out.
have some fun.
We'll bang it out. All right.
All right.
All right. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll see you next week. Be there or be squared.